The Free State of Prussia, a bastion of militaristic discipline and unyielding resolve, stands as a formidable power within the trenches of the Trench Crusade. Among its arsenal of warriors, none are more feared or more revered than the Stoßtruppen. Known as the Duke's Spear, these elite shock troops are the pinnacle of Prussian martial prowess, designed to break the unbreakable and conquer the unconquerable. The Stoßtruppen's reputation is not built on sheer numbers, but on their unmatched effectiveness in combat. Handpicked from the toughest mountaineers, seasoned veterans, and the most skilled combat engineers, these soldiers are more than warriors. They are weapons. Their purpose is singular: to pierce enemy lines, dismantle defenses, and pave the way for the reserves to sweep through in their wake. It is a role that requires not just strength, but precision, cunning, and a relentless drive to succeed. In the world of the Trench Crusade, where the Heretics' defenses are as monstrous as the forces they command, the Stoßtruppen represent a calculated answer to chaos. Their approach is methodical, blending discipline with innovation. Unlike the desperate charges that characterize so much of trench warfare, a Stoßtruppen assault is an exercise in calculated brutality. Every movement, every strike, is deliberate, designed to maximize destruction while minimizing their own vulnerability. Their presence on the battlefield is unmistakable. Even among the chaos of artillery bombardments and infernal machine gun fire, the Stoßtruppen move with eerie coordination. To their allies, they are a symbol of hope, a sign that no enemy is too entrenched, no obstacle insurmountable. To their enemies, they are the shadow in the dark, the inevitable tide that cannot be turned back. The moniker, the Duke's Spear, is more than a poetic title. It reflects their tactical role and their place within the Prussian military hierarchy. Just as a spear's tip is designed to puncture and penetrate, the Stoßtruppen lead the charge into the heart of enemy defenses. But unlike a mindless instrument, they operate with autonomy rarely afforded to soldiers in the trenches. They are entrusted with high-level objectives and given the freedom to determine how best to achieve them, sometimes over weeks or months of grueling warfare. The Stoßtruppen embody the ideals of the Free State of Prussia: discipline, innovation, and unrelenting strength. To understand them is to understand the philosophy of a nation that thrives in the crucible of war, a philosophy that does not just embrace conflict, but masters it. Oh, become a Stoßtruppen is to endure a transformation as grueling as the war they are destined to fight. The path to this elite force is one of relentless suffering, forged in the fires of relentless training, brutal selection, and a demand for perfection that borders on the inhuman. For the Free State of Prussia, only the strongest and most unyielding can stand among the Duke's Spear. The journey begins with the call for volunteers, a misnomer, as few would willingly submit themselves to the process that follows. Candidates are drawn from the ranks of the most experienced mountaineers, veterans of the bitter campaigns against the northern heretics, and the most talented combat engineers. From this pool, the selection process begins, one that prioritizes not just physical strength, but adaptability, resourcefulness, and an unshakable mental fortitude. The training is designed to break the weak. Athleticism is honed to an extreme degree, as Stoßtruppen must navigate the most treacherous terrains under fire. Camouflage becomes an art, with recruits learning to blend seamlessly into any environment, exploiting even the smallest shadows for concealment. The demands of trench warfare require that they master the skill of rapid movement across open ground, dodging artillery fire and enemy marksmen with precision. Yet, physical prowess alone is not enough. The Stoßtruppen are trained to operate in the suffocating darkness of no man's land, where the moonlight can be as deadly as the claws of a werewolf. Here, they learn to engage in combat where sight fails and sound deceives. Every recruit is trained to shoot with pinpoint accuracy in the pitch black, to sense movement where others see only stillness, and to wield weapons with deadly precision in the chaos of close-quarters battle. Their training partners are not fellow recruits, but hulking communicants, towering monstrosities bred for war. Wrestling these beasts teaches the Stoßtruppen to overcome overwhelming force with strategy and ferocity. Survival against such creatures is not just a test of skill, but a lesson in raw determination, a glimpse into the brutality that awaits them on the battlefield. But the most critical trait demanded of a Stoßtruppen is what their trainers call iron in the soul. This is the will to face horrors that defy comprehension. The ability to stare into the hellfire-filled eyes of a heretic anointed and bring them down with trench clubs and daggers. It is the resolve to detonate one's last grenade, even when mortally wounded, to ensure the mission's success. It is the inner strength to kill not just with precision, but with conviction, knowing that failure means not only death, but the triumph of darkness. The training and selection are not just preparation, but transformation. By the time a recruit dons the Stoßtruppen uniform, they are no longer merely soldiers. They are weapons, honed to a razor's edge. This process is the crucible that forges the Duke's spear, turning the ordinary into the extraordinary, the mortal into something far closer to the divine warriors of legend. The Stoßtruppen are not just defined by their training and resolve. They are armed with weapons and equipment that make them the perfect instruments of devastation. Every piece of their arsenal is tailored to the brutal, close-quarters nature of trench warfare, turning them into deadly agents of destruction in the confined hell of no man's land. At the heart of their arsenal is the grenade, an indispensable tool in their brutal repertoire. Stoßtruppen carry these in abundance, strung across their bodies like the relics of some grim pilgrimage. The grenade is their solution to nearly any obstacle, from clearing bunkers and pillboxes to scattering entrenched defenders. It allows them to reach enemies hiding behind fortifications or within the labyrinthine trenches, delivering death with both precision and efficiency. For ranged combat, Stoßtruppen favor submachine guns and pistols, but these are not standard-issue weapons. Their firearms are heavily modified to suit their needs. Submachine guns are equipped with larger magazines to ensure sustained firepower during prolonged engagements, while pistols are customized for speed and reliability. Ammunition is expended rapidly in the chaos of close-quarters combat, and their gear reflects the Stoßtruppen's relentless preparation for the worst scenarios. When the distance between enemies closes to a breath's length, the Stoßtruppen rely on a brutal array of melee weapons. Daggers, trench clubs, and entrenching tools are among their favored implements, each chosen for its effectiveness in tight, desperate quarters. These weapons are not just tools of war, they are symbols of the Stoßtruppen's intimate connection with violence, their willingness to fight with the barest means if it secures victory. Their flamethrowers, though few in number, are among their most feared weapons. Used to sweep trenches and bunkers, these infernal devices turn defensive strongpoints into charnel pits. The flames force enemies to scatter or die, creating openings for the Stoßtruppen to surge forward and finish the job. The psychological impact of these weapons cannot be overstated. To face a Stoßtruppen assault is to confront not just death, but annihilation. Their armor reflects their unique needs. Crafted with higher quantities of orichalcum than standard infantry equipment, it offers an exceptional balance of protection and flexibility. Lightweight and durable, this armor allows the Stoßtruppen to move swiftly and survive the barbed wire and shrapnel-laden battlegrounds. The spiked Pickelhaube helmets, a symbol of Prussian pride, are typically modified for combat, with detachable spikes to avoid making their wearers easy targets. This arsenal is not simply a collection of tools, it is an extension of the Stoßtruppen themselves. Every weapon, every piece of armor is designed to maximize their effectiveness in the nightmarish conditions of the Trench Crusade. These tools enable them to take on the most entrenched of enemies and emerge victorious, reinforcing their place as the Duke's spear. In the next chapter, we explore how the Stoßtruppen bring these weapons to bear, examining the tactics and discipline that make their assaults so devastatingly effective. The trenches of the Trench Crusade are a nightmarish labyrinth of death and despair, where survival is measured in moments and every inch of ground is soaked in blood. It is in this hellscape that the Stoßtruppen thrive, their mastery of trench warfare elevating them to a level of lethality unmatched by any other force in the Free State of Prussia. Their ability to navigate, dominate, and exploit the chaos of these battlefields is what makes them indispensable in the unending war. Unlike the frantic charges and desperate maneuvers of ordinary infantry, a Stoßtruppen assault is a carefully orchestrated dance of destruction. Precision and discipline define their approach. Before any attack, the Stoßtruppen study the terrain, memorize the layout of enemy defenses, and practice their assault until every movement is second nature. When the time comes, they execute their plan with an eerie silence, communicating through hand signals and relying on instinctive coordination honed through relentless training. The assault begins with a barrage of firepower designed to disorient and scatter the enemy. Heavy weapons, flamethrowers, and grenades erupt in a deadly symphony, forcing defenders to take cover or flee. This initial chaos is not random. It is the first step in dismantling the enemy's defenses. As soon as the enemy is thrown off balance, the Stoßtruppen surge forward, crossing no man's land with a speed and precision that seems almost inhuman. Once they reach the enemy trenches, the real work begins. The Stoßtruppen move with lethal efficiency, clearing every corner, every dugout, with grim determination. Their tactics are methodical: flamethrowers to clear strong points, grenades to flush out hiding enemies, and close-quarters weapons to finish off any survivors. They are relentless, leaving no stone unturned and no enemy standing. But their mastery extends beyond the initial assault. The Stoßtruppen are experts at exploiting the chaos they create. Once they have broken through the front lines, they spread out like the wings of a predatory bird, cutting off reinforcements, severing communication lines, and dismantling rearguard defenses. This ability to operate independently, yet in perfect harmony with their objectives, is what sets them apart from other forces. The trenches are not just a battlefield to the Stoßtruppen, they are a weapon. They use the enemy's own defenses against them, turning their fortifications into death traps. They understand every nuance of trench warfare, from the best places to plant explosives to the psychological impact of a sudden silent assault. To the Stoßtruppen, the trenches are not an obstacle, but an opportunity, a stage upon which they can display their unparalleled skill. Their effectiveness is a result of more than just training and equipment. It is a mindset. The Stoßtruppen view the trenches as their domain, a place where they can turn the tides of battle with calculated brutality. They embody the Prussian philosophy of war, disciplined, methodical, and unrelenting. To face them in the trenches is to face the inevitability of defeat. In the next chapter, we delve into the precision and discipline that govern their battlefield autonomy, exploring how the Stoßtruppen execute their missions with an eerie combination of freedom and loyalty. In the chaos of war, where artillery roars and the cries of the dying fill the air, the Stoßtruppen operate with an unsettling silence. They are not merely soldiers, but predators, stalking their prey with calculated precision. Their ability to strike without warning, to sow chaos and death before vanishing into the gloom, has earned them a reputation as the most fearsome shock troops of the Trench Crusade. A Stoßtruppen assault is not heralded by the clamour of preparation or the noise of marching boots. Instead, it begins in silence. Each soldier knows their role, their movements rehearsed and refined until instinct takes over. Communication is wordless, conveyed through hand signals and subtle gestures. This silence is not just a tactic, but a weapon, denying the enemy any warning before the storm breaks. The assault begins with sudden, overwhelming violence. Heavy weapons open fire, scattering defenders and forcing them into cover. Flamethrowers sweep across trenches, reducing strong points to smouldering ruins. Grenades arc through the air, finding their way into dugouts and behind barricades. This initial wave of destruction disorients the enemy, leaving them vulnerable to the Stoßtruppen's advance. When the Stoßtruppen move, they do so with the speed and precision of a blade slicing through armor. They cross no man's land in a mad dash, navigating the treacherous terrain with uncanny ease. Once inside the enemy's defenses, they spread out like a shadow consuming the light, their movements methodical and deliberate. Every trench, every bunker, every dark corner is cleared with ruthless efficiency. What sets the Stoßtruppen apart is their autonomy on the battlefield. Unlike many forces bound by rigid orders, they are given high-level objectives and the freedom to determine how to achieve them. This autonomy allows them to adapt to the fluidity of war, responding to unexpected challenges with creativity and initiative. Yet this freedom is balanced by a discipline so ingrained that it borders on instinct. They do not falter, even in the face of chaos. Their ability to vanish as quickly as they strike is perhaps their most unnerving trait. Once their objectives are achieved, the Stoßtruppen melt back into the shadows, leaving behind only the wreckage of their assault. To their allies, they are a fleeting symbol of hope. To their enemies, they are a nightmare made flesh, a reminder that death can come without warning. In the trenches of the Trench Crusade, where the enemy is as much a monster as a man, the Stoßtruppen's silence speaks volumes. It is a silence that heralds destruction, a calm before the storm that no defense can withstand. It is the silence of predators who know their prey is already doomed. In the next chapter, we explore the cost of this unrelenting efficiency, examining the physical and psychological toll the Stoßtruppen endure in their endless war. For all their strength, precision, and discipline, the Stoßtruppen are not untouched by the horrors they face. The trenches of the Trench Crusade are a crucible where the human spirit is tested to its breaking point, and even the elite shock troops of the Free State of Prussia are not immune to its toll. To survive as a Stoßtruppen is to endure more than physical wounds. It is to carry the scars of war in both body and soul. The transformation begins almost imperceptibly. At first, it manifests in hardened gazes and a growing distance from those outside their ranks. But as the campaigns stretch on, the changes become more pronounced. The Stoßtruppen, once paragons of discipline and order, begin to adopt the feral intensity of the enemies they fight. It is said that those who survive long enough in the trenches start to resemble the very monsters they are sent to destroy. Their bodies bear the marks of constant combat. Scars crisscross their flesh, badges of survival in a world where so many perish. Missing fingers, shattered bones, and the occasional mechanical replacement are common among veterans. Yet these physical wounds pale in comparison to the psychological weight they bear. The unending violence, the ever-present death, and the grotesque horrors of the heretic forces leave indelible marks on their minds. The Stoßtruppen are trained to stare into the abyss without flinching, but even they are not impervious to its gaze. Nightmares plague their sleep, and whispers of doubt creep into their thoughts. Some begin to see the war not as a fight for salvation, but as an endless cycle of carnage, with no victor in sight. This realization, unspoken yet shared, binds them together as much as their training and discipline ever did. Yet for all the horrors they endure, the Stoßtruppen do not falter. If anything, the burden they carry becomes a source of strength. They channel their pain, their fear, and their anger into the ferocity of their assaults. They are not simply fighting to win battles, they are fighting to survive, to ensure that the sacrifices they have made are not in vain. It is this resolve that makes them so fearsome, so relentless, and so deadly. But survival comes at a cost. Many Stoßtruppen, even those who live to see victory, find themselves estranged from the world they fought to protect. Their experiences set them apart, making them legends in the eyes of their fellow soldiers, but leaving them isolated in their humanity. They are celebrated and feared, admired and pitied, for they embody both the glory and the tragedy of the war. In the next and final chapter, we reflect on the legacy of the Stoßtruppen, examining how their actions and sacrifices resonate within the broader context of the Trench Crusade. The Stoßtruppen are more than soldiers. They are icons of the Free State of Prussia, living embodiments of its martial ideals and its defiance in the face of chaos. To their comrades, they are heroes who carry the hopes of an embattled nation. To their enemies, they are the nightmare that haunts the trenches, a reminder that no defense is impenetrable and no position truly safe. Their legacy extends far beyond the battlefield, shaping the culture and identity of Prussia itself. For the Free State, the Stoßtruppen represent the pinnacle of military achievement. Their precision, discipline, and adaptability are celebrated as the highest virtues of Prussian society. Songs are sung of their exploits, and their deeds are immortalized in statues and murals across the Free State. They are not just soldiers, they are symbols of resilience and unyielding strength, a source of pride for a nation locked in an eternal war. The imagery associated with the Stoßtruppen is carefully cultivated to inspire both fear and admiration. Their distinctive uniforms, reinforced with orichalcum and adorned with the detachable spikes of the pickelhaube, are as much a statement of identity as they are practical gear. Every element of their appearance, from their leather-reinforced jackets to the grenade belts slung across their chests, speaks of a force that thrives in the brutal reality of the trenches. But their significance goes deeper than their image. The Stoßtruppen embody the ethos of the Free State of Prussia, a belief in discipline, sacrifice, and the necessity of calculated violence to preserve order. They are a reminder that survival in the Trench Crusade requires more than courage. It demands mastery of the art of war and an unshakable commitment to the cause. Their legacy, however, is not without its shadows. The psychological toll of their role, the horrors they face, and the transformation they undergo leave many Stoßtruppen as haunted figures. Veterans of the Duke's Spear often struggle to reintegrate into the society they fought to defend. They are revered but rarely understood, their experiences creating a divide between themselves and those untouched by the war. Despite this, the Stoßtruppen endure as a symbol of hope for the Free State. Their victories, hard-won and blood-soaked, remind the faithful that even the most entrenched enemies can be overcome. Their existence proves that discipline and determination can prevail against the monstrous forces of the Heretics. In the darkest moments of the Trench Crusade, when despair threatens to consume the faithful, it is the image of the Stoßtruppen surging forward that rekindles the spark of resistance. The story of the Stoßtruppen is one of glory and sacrifice, of triumph and tragedy. They are a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and a reminder of the cost of survival in a world consumed by war. As long as the Trench Crusade endures, the Stoßtruppen will remain its indomitable spearhead, carving a path through darkness with precision, discipline, and unrelenting will.